Hello all, this is a lesson in Blender 3D for unwrapping and texturing and mapping pictures or images to models. So we're going to start with attempting to unwrap this box. And unwrapping in 3D means that you cut the model or this box in various different places so that they unwrap very nicely into a flat surface where you can paint or add pictures and then map it back on to this box. So the first thing we're going to do is to actually create a split viewport. Okay, so using your mouse button, right mouse click and choose split, or you could actually join it back later. Now the two viewports here, the viewport where we want the UV map added. There's an icon here where you can select the UV map image editor. So what we're going to be doing is to unwrap this box nicely to a cross shape, so all the surfaces are laid out flat on this UV image editor. So pressing the tab key or selecting this box using the right mouse button, pressing the tab key brings us into edit mode, okay, which you can see here. Okay, so object mode, pressing the tab brings us into edit mode. And we are selecting the vertices, but what we want to do really is to select the edges. So if you press Ctrl, different selection mode, and we want H. So in order to unwrap this box nicely, okay, there are various seams that you have to mark, and I'm going to have to mark this seam, top and the bottom and the middle. Coming over, I'm marking this top seam here, and this one, the bottom one. Sort of a U shape here, another U shape right here, another U shape. So having selected these edges, if you press Ctrl E, that brings you into the edge sort of a function, and you want to mark the seam. So that click this, so that okay, if you press select the other one, you can see that all the seams that have been selected have been marked red, and the computer algorithm that will unwrap this will use this seam to unwrap this box nicely onto this surface. So well, the next step is to actually select the whole all the surfaces. You know, we're pressing the A key, the shortcut key A selects the whole surfaces. Otherwise you could be using Control Tab, selecting edges, and using your mouse button with Shift key, right mouse button with the Shift key to select all the surfaces. But it's easier to just press A. Now if you press U, the command to unwrap, the menu to unwrap this is in the command shortcut key U. So press U and click unwrap, and you can see that the whole box is now unwrapped very nicely into a cross-shaped UV map in this viewport. You could also actually move things around. So let's say I want to separate this from the UV map. I could come in here and actually moving it by pressing the grab. If I come back here and select all, you can see that this has been separated from the rest. And you can also separate the rest, in various different areas, and even changing the shape, pressing G, okay, of the UV map. Okay, so it fits into any shape and sizes. If I press Ctrl Z just to undo my actions, bring it nicely back. Okay, and that's really nice. So at this point, we want to paint something on here. Well, you can actually paint on this surface using the texture paint by creating a new image, but we don't want to do that. We want to bring this UV map out into, okay, by pressing, go to the UV menu, exporting the UV layout. Okay, for now I'm going to just put them on the desktop, and I will be naming this box. Okay, the reason I want to export it as an image is so that, so I'm exporting as a PNG image. You could do the rest, but PNG image is the standard now for 3D and also the web. So I'm exporting this. The reason I want to export it is so that I can let me open a new window going to the desktop. Okay, the reason I want to do that is so that I can paint on this box, okay, and bring it back in. So I'm going to go to the simplest paint program you have, okay, and that's the paint. And I don't want to save it. I want to open the box that I saved from and start putting things, drawing shapes, writing text. Okay, change the color, change the bold. Okay, and even painting. Okay, that's a bit too small. Painting, drawing things on, okay, and filling up, okay, all the surfaces. At this point, I want to save this. So you can either save as a new name, JPEG images, doesn't matter, or just save it in the box. I'm going to just save it back to the box.png. And coming back here, I want to load the image that I saved, paint, back into Blender. So going back to the desktop, and there you go. So following the outline of the UV map, I have painted it and I've brought it back into Blender. Now the way to apply this, well, it's actually really, you can see it, but because I have the solid switched on, that's the wireframe, I want to see the texture. And by putting that texture back on, just raise it up slightly, okay? Putting that texture back on, you can actually see that all the textures have been applied. On this side, you can't see it because the lighting, okay, is on the other is on that side, so it's a bit dark. But moving it around, you can actually see that it's all been applied nicely. You can actually create. Click anywhere, press Shift A, go to the lamp, create a point light, and you can create more lights to see the other sides. Okay, and that makes it here, I suppose. So, but if you try to render this, okay, we've got a camera here. If you click the camera and press 0 on your numpad, that brings you in to see what is seen in the final render image. And the way to move the camera around, you can actually press 0 so that you can actually move the camera like this. But let me just move the camera. So move your mouse arrow here, click the right mouse button, create the frame, and you can and before you release it, by pressing the left arrow, you can press the middle mouse button, click the middle mouse button, and then zoom in or zoom out. Okay? And when I'm happy with the frame, I'm going to click the left mouse button and the camera is stuck there. So let's try to render this. pressing F12, and notice that the texture is only in in the viewport and not actually recorded on the render, because we haven't actually applied. Okay, we haven't actually applied the texture onto the material. So what we're gonna have to do now is to select this box, right mouse click to select it, go to the materials editor. Originally it doesn't have material, so you need to click new, and once there's a material here, you get to the texture panel, create a new texture, switch it to the image, open, get to your desktop and open the box image. And because this is a UV map, we don't want the mapping to be generated coordinate by Blender. We want it to be UV. Okay, once we've selected that, everything should be in order. Okay, so now if you get back to this panel, you can see that it's properly applied. Don't worry too much about this, but if you look at it, it's really properly applied. So now as we get back here, let's click here. I'm going to move mouse button back here. Okay, let's try to render it again, pressing F12. And now you can see that the texture is really applied on the box. So if you export this, the texture will be applied on the box. Next step and what I will do, the easiest way is to press numpad 3s and press 5 so that it's not in perspective, and raise this so that it sort of slightly touches. Okay, let's go back. Slightly touches the surface. Press S and scale it up. What I want to do is to render the shadow. So I don't want this lamp and spotlight. So I'm gonna just pressing the delete key, delete this. So I'm rendering it. I want the shadow to come from that side so we can see it clearly. So this is the lamp, and clicking the lamp, okay, that's the texture, clicking the lamp object data, we want to switch on the ray trace shadow, and that's good. And let's try to render this and see, press F12, and you can see that the shadow is rendered, but it's a little bit hard on the surface. So we want to really increase the sample size. So I want to put 16, high sample, and we're going to raise this to maybe 2.5 or 2.4, and coming back here, let's press F12 to render it again. And you see the shadow becomes much softer, and that's really nice. Okay, well, coming back, I want to also try to texture this surface, and if I press tab, it gets into the object mode. And really I want to, rather than using the paint program in external to Blender, I want to really paint on here. And so what I want to do now is to create, I don't want to use this texture, I want to create a new image. It doesn't have to be so high. If I want to 512 by 512, so it's quicker. Okay, so I've got a new image. It's black in color. No, I want this image. Okay, I want the new image, or invert color. I want it to be white. Okay, and you can actually create a white image using the color, but let's not do that. So having now a new image here, really I have to unwrap this before I can paint on it. So if I press tab, I'm in edit mode, and I'm going to select the whole thing, press U, unwrap. So I've got the unwrapped surface UV matte here, and at this point I will go back to object mode. Okay, I'm going to just go texture paint. So I can actually paint on here using very different colors. So So let's just use this color, make it a bit darker, and reduce the radius. And I'm going to write my name here. So EUG, as you see, EUG, E. As you see, as I write, it's reflected on here. But the same thing, with this image here is that it's not really applied. So we have to save this. Let's just save as image. Go to the desktop. Let's just save this as Eugene. Okay. Save it. And we have to do the whole process again of applying the texture that we just painted and saved onto here. So going back to the object mode, I'm selecting this with the right mouse button. Okay, create a new material, go to the texture, create a new texture, going into image, open, desktop, and select Eugene. Again, going to mapping, UV map. Okay, UV map, and it is really applied. So if I press F12 with my mouse in this viewport, you can see that it is rendered properly. And you can save the image. Okay, save this image that you rendered, okay, onto your desktop if you want. I'm not going to save it. Now the way to render a larger image is actually to go to the render panel. Okay, if you get to the render panel, and at the moment I'm rendering it half, 50% of this resolution. So you can actually increase it to full HD 1080 and render a really big image for your project report. Okay, but that's good. So you can actually render and save your image. The way to get out of this window is by pressing escape. And there you go. Okay, hope you learned something from this lesson and hope you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to me, comment, like, and thanks for watching.